Hey everybody, it's Brandon. This video is how to correctly fill out an FAA Form 8710 application for your Checkride using the iAccura's website. So as examiners, it's very common someone will submit an 8710 application that we open up and we have several mistakes that need to be fixed prior to starting the Checkride. As examiners on our end in the iAccura's website, we have the ability to be able to send that application back to you to be able to have those corrections made, and then you can resubmit that, okay? So if that happens, if you ever show up to a check ride and there's a mistake, the examiner can send that application back to you, you can make that correction, and then when you submit that application, everything should be good to go. Most times, whenever that happens, and you as the applicant submit that application, the instructor has already signed that application. They don't need to go back and make additional, sign off for that. It'll be just between you and the examiner at that point. So anyway, so we're going to jump into the 8710 application, show you a lot of the mistakes that I see, and hopefully this video will be able to help fix that. You'll be able to walk through this with your instructor and be able to fix those mistakes prior to submitting the application. So when you show up, it'll just make the Checkride application and the paperwork part of the Checkride go through a lot smoother, a lot more efficient. And that's what we're all kind of shooting for. So, okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and screen record. Okay, so we're screen recording this. We're going to be able to walk through this kind of fake application that I submitted or made up to be able to walk through with you guys. So first things first, as you can see here in the top left corner, this is going to be a private pilot check ride. Category is aircraft single engine, and it is land, okay? And then this is their initial test. This individual's first name is John, middle name's Deer, and last name is Green. Social Security number. So if you want to use your Social Security number, you're more than welcome to be able to use that, but everybody be mindful that there is a box right next to that that you can click if you choose to not use your Social Security number, okay? So U.S. citizens have the opportunity to not use their Social Security number, so just be mindful of that box. The date of birth, place of birth, Dallas, Texas, USA. And now we're going to get into where I see some mistakes. So residential address. So this is the address where you currently reside, okay? Residential address and then your mailing address. So if you're like most people, okay, I reside at this address, 1234 Willow Park Drive, Gainesville, Texas, 76240. If you reside there and you also receive your mail there, this is the only box that you're going to have completed. If you receive your mail at a different address than block E1, then you're going to put your mailing address there. So me personally, I live at a home and my address is, here in Lindsay, Texas, but my mailing address, I don't ever receive any mail at my home. So I have all my mail sent to my business address, okay? So in that case, I'd have my residential address and then I'd have my mailing address. Or if I have a PO box that I have my mail sent to or anything like that. So this helps the FAA determine where to send your pilot certificate when it gets completed. Then you get into nationality, citizenship. So I'm a U.S. citizen. I've seen some examiners that have some problems with this. I haven't run into it yet. But if place of birth is Dallas, Texas, USA, and you want to make sure that you're a U.S. citizen, and it's not clicked other, okay? Or if your place of birth and it has other, then you're going to have where you were born at, okay? Box G is do you read, speak, write, and understand the English language? And then we're going to move down to your pilot certificate that you currently hold. Okay, this is not what we're applying for because that is up here. This is your current grade certificate. So yes, we hold a student pilot certificate, and this is the number, and then this is the date of issue. Medical certificate. So this is one of the probably the 3 to 4 things that I see in error with. Yes, we hold medical. It's a first class medical, and it is issued by one of the big medical examiners here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It is Jeffrey Griffin, okay, and the date it was issued. A lot of times I'll see people that show up and it'll say third class medical certificate in box N1, but when I'm looking at their their medical certificate, it was issued by the flight doctor or the medical examiner, it'll say first class. And I'll say, well, what's up with this? Because it has third class here, but your certificate says first class. They said, well, yes, it was a first class medical. Now it's exercising the privileges after so many years of a third class. I said, okay, well that's fine, but it needs to state what your actual class medical certificate was when it was issued. Even though you're exercising maybe a second class privileges or third class privileges, it needs to clearly state what that class was of the date that it was issued. Other error that we find is a lot of people write just the doctor's name and won't have their specific title at the end. So like I got my medical out and made sure that it was clearly written as Jeffrey Griffin, space, space, DO. Now, some medical examiners have a different title at the end. It might be DO, it might be MD, it might be, I've seen an MPH. So be sure to be able to write that out there. Now, have you ever been convicted of any drug convictions, anything like that? Yes or no, and then the date of final conviction. And then it gets into probably the next phase of errors that I see. Okay, so we're using the completion of a test or activity. We're going to click that, and we're going to state what aircraft are going to be used. Okay, so that's the aircraft that you're going to use on the day of your check ride. So in this case, this individual is going to use the Cessna 172-S model, and it states the flight time, the total flight time they have in that model aircraft, and then the total pilot command time, PIC time that they're going to have in that specific Cessna 172. I've seen people where they show up and they don't have these boxes completed. Or they have the total flight time, but they don't have the total amount of pilot command time. So that's one mistake. Another mistake that I've seen is where they show up and they'll have two aircraft. They might have a Cessna 172S and a Cessna 150, and it'll have the total flight time and pilot command time for the Cessna 172S and also an additional line for the Cessna 150. And I'll say, what's this about? Are we using two different aircraft for the check ride? And they'll go, no, sir, that's the aircraft that this individual used. They used two aircraft to complete the training leading up to this check ride. So be mindful, this box is for not how many aircraft you've used throughout your training. It is what aircraft you're using on the check ride, okay? Now, if you're a Part 141 graduate, you're going to complete Box C, or your chief pilot or administrative officer is going to be able to complete this application for you, okay? Now we're going to run down to Section 3, Record of Pilot Time, okay? This is the next big thing, and probably one of the last things that I see big mistakes with is, first off, when you're applying, it doesn't matter if you're, been flying for 50 years and you're getting your other rating, be sure to list all of your flight times that is up to date, okay? So we're going to walk through this. Common things that I see is, okay, so we're applying for single engine land, private pilot, so we're going to be focusing on this airplanes column, left to right, okay? Total flight time, the amount of instruction received, and solo flight time. So remember, when you fly solo as a student pilot, you're solo, but you're also exercising your privileges of pilot command. So both of these should match up. Another common error that I see is for some reason they have second command time listed. And remember, there's no second command time for just single engine little aircraft. If you're flying aircraft that requires two certified pilots in the flight decks, then you might be having some second command stuff. So 99.9% of the time when you're applying for private pilot stuff, there's no second command time. So solo and pilot command, those should both be reading the same. Cross-country instruction received and then cross-country solo, okay? So if I fly cross-country solo, I'm gonna have my time listed there, but also I'm pilot and command on that cross-country, so both of these should match up. This states the total amount of instruments or reference to flight instruments, however the FAA's phrase is. It can be logged here, not instruction received, and not takeoff and landing. So remember, when you're with an instructor, you're not exercising your PIC authority. You're not going to have PIC authority unless you're soloing or unless you've completed your private pilot check ride. So you should not have anything listed here, okay? And then also don't forget your class totals, okay? So the aircraft, pilot command time, 14.5, that should match this and this, okay? And if you ever have any simulator time, whether it's ATD, FTD, or anything like that, you're going to have that listed there. So, you know, if I have like 2.5 hours towards my private pilot and ATD or FTD, you might want to log that there. And if you ever have any instrument training going on towards your instrument rating or anything like that, then you're going to start listing some stuff in here. But also don't forget to complete your totals, your class totals, and all that stuff. And then, what was this, item number 4, have you ever previously received a notice of disapproval or been denied for any reason for a certificate of rating? And that's going to answer yes or no. Now, I have a lot of applicants that call me and they go, man, I submitted my 8710 application, I've got it all completed, but it's not allowing me to sign the application. So at the very end, once we get all the required documents and everything completed, we're going to, as an examiner, we're going to send that application to you, and you're going to sign it on the IACRS website. And once that step is completed, that is the last step that needs to be completed. And then from that point on, the check ride starts. Okay, so don't worry about the signature. Now, on the back part of the application, this is going to have your flight instructor's sign off. And this is going to be for the check ride for the FAA, so don't worry about that. But on the back part, the bottom part of page 2, whenever you show up for your check ride, they're going to ask to see your photo ID. And when we submit that, whether it's a passport, driver's license, etc., we're going to fill out that information, and it's going to populate here. The type of ID that you're providing, the number, expiration date, and then it's going to have telephone number, email address, all that stuff provided. So that way, if the FAA or anybody needs to get a hold of you, it'll have telephone number, email address, and stuff like that. Okay. And that's pretty much the major things that I see on the 8710 application. I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm doing mainly sport pilot, private, instrument, commercial, all single engine land. So I'm sure there's some other stuff that I might have missed. But for the most part, like I said, if you don't want to use your social security number, you have the right to do that. So there's the mailing address. Make sure you look through that thoroughly, because you don't want to go through the whole check ride and you not receive your new pilot certificate. You want to make sure that goes to the proper address. And then also the medical examiner in class of medical, be sure to be able to completely fill that out. And then also, you know, what type of aircraft is going to be used, your total flight times, and then also your record of flight times at the bottom. So hopefully this helped clarify a couple little things and fix some mistakes prior to you submitting your 8710 application. But don't worry, there's always something kind of comes up. You might still miss something here and there. But don't worry, because us as examiners, we have the opportunity to click that function to return that application to you to be able to have those items fixed and addressed. So anyway, hopefully this helps you guys out, and we'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it.